All right. Few housekeeping things. Next week we will not be having a boys meeting on Zoom. We will that clinic, if you're in SSOA or the Fayetteville area, you should have got an email from JJ. The 5th is being moved to the 19th. The 5th is being moved to the 19th. We will not have a clinic on the 5th because Triangle Girls is having a clinic on the 5th in person. Now, we got some big important dates coming up. If next Saturday for the boys, we have an on-field clinic. If you are a new official or returning official, we would love to have you there. We've got players coming from Cape Fear High School who are going to be there to help us do some on-field clinics and show us some different things. So you'll get some practice on the field in addition to just us talking over Zoom. And so would love to see as many come out. That's going to be next Saturday, February 4th from 8 a.m. to noon. Please come in uniform. All right. That is our goal. If it is cold that day, remember all black is the uniform. But please come in uniform that day. There'll be some good instructions. I will send out a text. And if you'll just let me know, it's going to be at Cape Fear High School. Sorry, I didn't say that. Cape Fear High School. We're going to do about 2 hours first thing in the morning, doing some classroom stuff, and then we'll do 2 hours on the field. And so I will be sending out a text to everybody for SSOA to say, hey, are you coming? That way we can prepare and make sure we have it. We have enough to do it, because I don't want to bring out players and they're giving their Saturday if we're only going to have 1 or 2 people there. We're looking at least 5 or 6 in order to make it go. So really need some help doing this. That way we could start having this as an annual thing. And we've got quite a few first year, second year, or third year referees. If you are more than third years, hey, I'm gonna text you too, because I just want to know if you're coming, because that way I can use you as instructors too. So that's next Saturday. Also on Arbiter, JJ has put up the scrimmage on Arbiter for self-assign. If you're for Southeastern, you need to go on to Arbiter and choose the game for your scrimmage. That's Union Pines on the 18th. That is the only scrimmage we are having here. You're going to have to, if you don't come to that one, you're going to need to go to Raleigh to get that, or to Wilmington. And those dates we will publish at a later date. We're hoping that most of ours will get that clinic in. That scrimmage in on the 18th of February. Also, if you're a veteran and you're coming on the if you're coming to Cape Fear, we will give you credit for a scrimmage that day. Remember, we're responsible for 3 slots. So we are responsible for 3 scrimmages. And so if you stay all day at Union Pines, then you get credit for all your scrimmages. And if you come to Cape Fear and you're a veteran, then you can get a scrimmage and not have to stay all day. You can stay part of the day and get your scrimmage in that way. But the big thing is go ahead and go to self-assign and pick up those games, because Rick Wooten up in Raleigh is going to release that to his officials tomorrow. So please make sure you do that also, so that you get first dibs on it. All right. So I told you Tom was presenting today. Something came up, and I did a last minute thing and threw something on him, and he was unable to do it because he had a last minute thing come up. So We're trading back and forth. So unfortunately, you do not get the expert who trained me how to call lacrosse. You get me. I'm sorry. I've disappointed you twice. You thought I was JJ, and now you thought I was Tom. But we're gonna go through the most important part of lacrosse for you as an official, and that is the actual fouls. Today we're going to be talking about personal fouls and personal fouls, and we're going to be talking about technical fouls. We're going to start out with personal fouls. Let me get the PowerPoint up. All right, can someone tell me if you can see? Either type it in chat, unmute yourself, and see if you can see the PowerPoint.
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So rule 5 is where we're starting with personal fouls. All right, personal fouls. For those of you who came on a little early, you got to see my video where I found the top hits in college lacrosse, most of which, oh, well, I'll take it back. All of which are illegal in high school, most of which are illegal in college. All right. So today's gonna be a little interactive. So you either got to talk or you got to put it in the chat. All right. So Dan, since you unmuted first, this first picture with 51 with the cross, what have you got? What kind of foul do you have there?
This is gonna be 51. Let me see. I can't really see it that well, but it's looking like it's going to the head and neck.
Yep.
So illegal body check. We're probably locking them in 2 or 3 minutes, depending on the severity.
You could go illegal body check. The criteria we first want to say is like what Dan said. We're locking them in. As soon as we see something to the head, we're locking it in 2 to 3 minutes. He said illegal body check. It could go there or it could go cross check because why? The hands are separated. But if you're not on a bigger screen, that could be hard to see. Michael Owen. The second picture, the purple guy. What do you think he's fixing to do?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Well, he looks like he's in a bad position. Looks like, well, I see I'm on my iPhone, but it looks like he's got about to slash.
Yep.
It could be a trip. I mean, he could slash, he could hold. I don't know what all he could do. There's a lot of things he can do, but he's in a bad position because he's behind him. But
Yep.
he's probably going to do something. So I would imagine the first thing is going to be a wild stick, reckless abandon slash.
Yep.
He could hit him in the leg, trip him, or he could, run around and just hold him. So several things he could do there.
That's exactly right. He ended up slashing him right across the stomach area.
Okay. So if it's wild, I mean, if it's across the stomach, depending on how aggressive. One, if you hit him multiple times, you can upgrade it to 2 minutes or whatever. But I would be yelling at him, control your stick when he's doing that. So.
All right, thank you, sir. Rick, you're up. You're the next contestant on Name That Foul. What have we got here, Rick? Rick, if you will unmute yourself or either type in the chat, what do you see here? And if you're new and you don't know, then you're at the right clinic. Just say that. All right, I don't think I got Rick. Darren, can you help us out?
There, can you hear me there?
I can. What do you think is happening here? What do you see in the third slide?
It looks like he's going right at his neck. So I'll probably do maybe a cross check, lock him in 2 or 3 minutes.
All right. Hey, exactly. We want to take that criteria. We're going straight to the head. 2 or 3 minutes is expected. Now, who is committing that foul?
Goalie.
Hard to see. Looks like there's a goal stick there somewhere, but I don't know whose hand is in.
Yeah, so it looks like the goalie is the one committing the foul. Now, does the goalie have to serve his penalties? Anybody can answer. If a goalie makes a penalty that has time serving, does the goalie serve it?
Yes.
Yes. What if they don't have another keeper dressed?
Will they go on the first person in the book?
Nope.
Rules state that you got to have a equipped goalie on the field at all times. See, the game can't continue.
So what you have to do in that scenario is you have to dress a goalie. The current goalie will sit in the box. You have to dress him a new goalie. The coach gets 1 minute to warm them up if they would like. And then play continues. When this happens, and for those of you who are in the Fayetteville area, we all know that there's a goalie who likes to get in trouble. And so you will probably see this goalie, and the one speaking is the one who made the mistake and said, oh, the goalie doesn't have to serve. They don't have another one dressed. They're required to serve their own penalty. The new keeper must get dressed. The good news is everybody's required to wear a cup. In the past, that was part of the issue is the person they would try to dress might not necessarily be wearing a cup, and that would cause a problem. All right, Paul, you're contestant number 4. Or Chip. Sorry, Chip.
All right. I'm trying to see that. It's pretty small.
Yeah, that was the only problem of putting 4 pictures on here.
You can make it larger. Just zoom it out. You can make it larger.
Let me try to zoom in. It ain't gonna let me zoom in. You might have to zoom in on your side, Paul.
Yeah, from your phone or your computer.
That's two guys. Looks like number 7's. Looks to me like number 7's going to slash him from the back.
That is what they're trying to say. You are correct. He slashed him from behind. It looks more like a push on my side, but that's what the answer key gives me. So that's a good
the cross is actually hitting the guy in the back, and that's well, you know, sometimes you go it's the least serious, but that's something that can really hurt a player.
My only thing is it looks like he's got 2 fists on the side of him with the sticks together. That's the only reason I think it might be a push, but you are correct. The US Lacrosse is trying to say that it's a slash to the back.
That's what the answer key says?
Yep.
So that's not a body check.
No. The answer key is saying that's a slash to the back.
Oh, okay.
You can't body check to the back either.
No, you can't do either one of those, but that's what the answer key is saying. All right, let's get to moving. All right, what does the rule book say? All right, we got to know the rules and understand the spirit of the rules. When in doubt, make the fair call. Now, I'm gonna add a JJ-ism. When in doubt, err on the side of safety. That's a JJ statement. Err on the side of safety. If you think and you're 90 to 100% sure that it hit the head or neck, you go to the 2 to 3 minute rule. What he doesn't want to see, and I will show you if we have time, is a kid get knocked in the head and they get 1 minute releasable when that kid goes over with a concussion and pukes his brain out and has to spend the night at the hospital, and all the person got was a 1 minute releasable penalty. So if you think the head or neck's involved, 2 or 3 minutes. You're going to hear me say that 1,000 times tonight. All right, personal fouls are those of a serious nature: illegal body checks, slash, cross-checking, tripping, unnecessary roughness, unsporting-like conduct, checks involving the head, neck, and use of illegal cross and or equipment. All right, there are 3 types of personal fouls. All right, this is kind of where U.S. Lacrosse uses the criminal system. Personal fouls are the felonies. Technical fouls are the misdemeanors. All right, the 3 types of personal fouls: illegal conduct, those are illegal contact, excuse me, are safety fouls. Illegal conduct includes coaches and players' behavior. Illegal equipment includes the stick and all mandatory required equipment. All right, we'll talk about acquired equipment. We'll talk about the sticks later. Look, illegal equipment is the stick. All right. Everything else the coach certifies. If a guy don't have a cup on and he gets hit there, don't put a flag beside his head. That is bad enough punishment that he has to endure. He does not need your flag to land beside his head. All right. Illegal equipment is the stick, is the personal foul. The mouthpiece is the technical foul. All right. We'll get to that later. At any point, if you have a question, just raise your hand. If not, I'm powering through. All right. When you put all these together, you're basically looking at keeping the game in control, which ultimately will keep the game safe and will build credibility with the crew. All right. What are the safety personal fouls? Cross check, illegal body check, checks involving head or neck, body check a defenseless player, slashing, tripping, and unnecessary roughness. Cross check. All right. Part of the cross, when you look at it in the boys' game, all right, your stick, if you're going to make contact with your stick, your hands need to be together. Then you can push and make that contact. If your hands get further than shoulder width apart and the first contact and forward thrust is with the stick, that is where your cross check is. Now, this is different from the girls' game. For those of you who do the girls, if the cross is here and I'm just using it as a brace and I'm not thrusting, that's not illegal necessarily. The thrust is what gets them illegal. All right. Tom, you're on here. So at any point, if you want to put words of wisdom, feel free.
Gotcha.
Holding arms, extending. To me, if there's no force, again, are they gaining an advantage? All right. The cross check, is it a safety issue because they're thrusting? Are they gaining an advantage because of the stick? All right. Look for separation and a definitive thrusting motion. All right. So a player may not check his opponent with the cross in a cross check position. A check with part of the handle of the cross that's between the player's hand, either by thrusting or by holding it or extending this from the body. This rule has changed to allow pushing with the handle. All right. The pushing is when we're here. I'm not thrusting. I'm just tapping. All right. Now, the one thing with cross checks, this sometimes falls under a legal body check, but under the current interpretation, they are saying that this is technically a cross check. Some of you will see it. It's more prevalent in the girls' game than it is the boys' game, but I've seen it in the boys' game. They cannot use the butt end of the stick to ram somebody. All right. Again, if that is a cross check, that could be a legal body contract. That could be unnecessary roughness.
John, are you talking about an ice pick?
Yep.
All right. Ice pick, you would call it a slash. If anything, you could also get a hold, say if he gets him at the shoulder pads and kind of pulls back on him.
What is an ice pick?
Basically, when they take the end of the stick and stab it.
Yeah, so you think of, I mean, you know what an actual ice pick looks like, where it's got a handle, then it's like just a sharp point blade. So just think of that as the handle is the head of the cross, the blade is the shaft of the stick.
Okay.
And so, like I said, U.S. Lacrosse is mentioning that in the areas, like Tom said, that could be a /2. U.S. Lacrosse is mentioning in cross check, and it's also mentioning in illegal body contact and unnecessary. So just be aware of that. It's not prevalent in the Ben's game, but it could be there. All right, now we're going to check out a video that will show us an example of a cross check. All right. Let's see here. Tom Farrell, go
Yes, sir.
ahead. Tell me what you got there. What you doing? You see the flag, so what are you doing there?
Well, for this, it's easy to kind of look, guys, when you're looking at that guy coming across. Look where his hands end up. All right. If he's kind of extending out and his hands are still, especially a pole, if he's got one hand near the butt end and the other hand in the middle and he hasn't changed, a lot of times you can tell how they finish. So if his hands are still spread apart after the kid's hitting the ground or after contact is made, 99% of the time it was a cross check. The other thing in this video, if you really want to rewind it a little bit, you also might get a loose ball push. I can't really clarify on it because you don't know when that whistle blows. But you also had a loose ball push here on the guy on the other side of crease as well, because he hits him from behind.
What are you penalizing him for that check, that cross check?
Rewind and play it again.
All right.
It's hard with the video being small. If it comes high, it's a 2-minute locked in, but it might be a 2-minute locked in even if he didn't hit heads, just for the main reason is look how far his run up was to make contact. He was running good 10-15 yards coming all the way from the other side of the field to slide, and then where that stick makes contact, if it's high, you could lock him in for 3 or more, 3 or eject him, but minimum 2 regardless.
I have a cheat sheet, so I can see it because it's blown up. The hit was in the shoulders, not the neck. But I'm with Tom. Look at the distance, and look at the where he still hit him high. He got him in the chest and the shoulders, but he still hit him high. He came from a distance. I'm doing at least 2 minutes.
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I do a 2-minute. It's a cross check. He's not making a play. A cross move. He's just coming across just to hit the kid.
And
so you're saying what helps identify the type of slash was based on how his hands, like right there, his hands.
Well, it's a cross check. It wouldn't be a slash.
Okay, cross check. Based
So-
on how his hands is spread.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So you see how he's standing right now after the kid got up. His hands are still at the same spot they were when he made contact.
Right.
So you can see when he hits him, his hands are there, and then when he turns around, his hands never move on that stick. So that's easy to call a cross check. And then you could clarify if coach asked me, coach, he had a good 15-yard run up, wasn't making a lacrosse move, and was coming just to to hurt the kid. He was coming just to hit him.
Okay.
Basically, Chris, he's looking at the first contact is with the stick that is in between hands that are over shoulder width apart.
Okay.
He's basically turning the stick into a weapon. All right, any more comments on cross checks or questions? All right, now we have a legal body check. More than 5 yards from a loose ball. From the rear or below the waist. Players on the ground. If you saw that earlier, they said no call on something in high school. That would have been a call because the player hit somebody on the ground. can still be 1 minute. Oh, I went too far. All right. Illegal body check an opponent who is not in possession of the ball or within 5 yards of a loose ball. Illegal body check. So if they're not near the ball and they just get destroyed, that's where the illegal body check's coming in. Body checking an opponent from the rear or at or below the waist. Body checking of an opponent who has any part of his body other than his feet on the ground. And the penalty duration is usually 1 minute releasable, but it can be more. All right. If a player who's about to be body checked turns his back, jumps, or moves in such a manner to make what started to be a legal check appear illegal, no foul is committed by the player applying the body check. So if I, kind of like in basketball, I saw that a lot of us did basketball. All right. If the player leans in to try to draw the body check, then it's not a body check. If it was going to be a legal hit until the offensive player did something to draw the foul, then it's nothing.
So going back to the previous slide, if his hands were together and his contact was clean, you still could call him for an illegal body check just because his intent and where he's coming from, how far away.
He's coming, and a legal body check is sometime, and it even has this note, they're separated in the rule book, but a legal body check and defenseless player sometimes can go hand in hand.
Yeah, you can, I mean, there's a lot. It's just you're looking at the degree, like an illegal body check, unnecessary roughness, defenseless player. It just depends on where it starts, where it ends up, or the intent is where you can kind of would classify it as.
All right, let's take a now we're looking at checks involving the head or neck. Look, this is point blank. If it involves the head or neck, it's 2 to 3 minutes. Locked in. With the consideration for an ejection.
John. So Chris, this is a great picture of kind of see, this would be a cross check and you can see how the exposed cross on the white player, how that can create a danger. If the guy's just ramming it onto his guy's arm where there's not pads, he could break a bone, cause severe bruising. So just anytime that you see an open cross like that, make contact, you have something.
Yeah, this is they should have used this picture for cross check. But a player, now here's the one thing that I'm going to caution you, as Tom had to teach me, because I used to be really sensitive to this. And the new shoulder pads, I think, when did the new shoulder pads come out? About 2 years ago, Tom?
I think it was mandatory this year. It was proposed, I think, the year before.
The new shoulder pads seem to let this stick slide. And so if it's a hit that starts on the shoulder and slides up, let's be cognitive of that. When it says check involving the head or neck, the first contact is the head or neck. All right. I've seen it. The new shoulder pads, that stick will just slide up it. And so that doesn't excuse them from it. But before we start saying that's a head or neck, let's make sure it's where the initial contact is. All right. Any follow through that contacts the head or neck shoulder should also be considered a violation of the rule. A player may not initiate an excessive, violent, or uncontrolled slash to the head or neck. If it's a slash, that's when slashes are to the head, you got to be careful with, because it is possible they would have had a shoulder, but the person moved, or it could be what we call a brush. All right. If it just brushes off the helmet, for lack of better terms, they wear a helmet for a reason. If it hits them dead straight in the helmet with force, then we got a problem with the head or neck. That's the reason it says excessive or violent or uncontrolled. A player, including an offensive player in possession of the ball, shall not block an opponent with his head or initiate contact with the head. Basically, for those you call football, it's the same term. It's the same definition. They cannot spear anybody. They cannot lead with their helmet so that they have nowhere to hit. Bull dodge. If they're trying to run through somebody with their helmet down, then that is on them. That is not on the person who's going through, trying to get the ball. All right. I think
So
I got it. Go
hold
ahead.
on. A couple things. If you have it and you throw a flag, don't yell across to your partner, "Oh, I got head or neck." And then, "Hey, oh yeah, we just had an illegal body check." Meet up with each other and then discuss, because as soon as a coach hears head or neck, and then if we call something different, they're going to be irate and extending film. So if you have something that's, you know, it's a head or neck, it's always good just to confer with your partner, especially if both of you have flags. Meet up to each other and, "Hey, where did it start?" Or, "Hey, where did it end? Did he extend up through?" So that way, if we have it in the head or neck, great, cool. But if it's something that one of you thought was a head or neck and one of them thought, "Hey, I just had just a regular illegal body check," we can't be yelling that verbiage across the field loud enough for a coach to hear.
And that's the perk of headsets and radios. But and to continue on what Tom's saying, if you have two flags down, let's go ahead and talk and make sure that we got the same thing. All right. Because I have done it many a times thinking, hey, Tom's got the same flag I do. And then we get together and we go, no, I had it on 12. You had it on 15. Okay, well, then so that's why we use radios where we could talk and get through that. But again, this is what we tell all of our referees is, look, if we're going to consider an ejection, and I venture to say, and most of the time when I've been involved, if we're going to say head or neck, let's always get a second opinion to make sure that we're applying the rule correctly, especially if you have two flags. All right.
And you got to think about it. You got to think about it too. Hey, if we just had something like that, a big hit, what always transpires in any sport, contact sport, if you have a big hit, now that team's getting all pumped up and everything else. If we take our time, that can also diffuse the situation a little bit too and get the game back under control.
All right. So checks involving the head or neck, we're looking at targeting as a possibility. We'll talk about a little later. Legal, then follow through to the head or neck. We talked about that a little bit already. Spearing, leading with the crown of the helmet. Uncontrolled slash or cross check. All right, we're going to look at a video on this. All right, I'm going to let you watch it again. Watch down low. Let me go back more. Notice the first contact and how far he comes to make it.
Yeah, look at his hands. So if you see where he starts to run up, his hands never move. And his stick's already out in front of him.
Yeah, he didn't have a stick in both hands, did he?
No, he had it in both hands. The head of his stick is basically right there going towards the ground, but he just comes out, and as soon as he gets close to him, he puts his hands up to cross check the kid. But his hands, as soon as he starts to run, if you replay it back a little bit, you can see as soon as he extends his hands up, his hands don't ever move.
And notice it's a long pole.
Oh, yeah.
And that's this one, I would even talk about a 3-minute ejection because he's coming just to cause harm.
Yep. That's exactly what this is, I'm going to tell you what U.S. Lacrosse is saying, and I'm going to tell you what JJ is going to tell you. All right, U.S. Lacrosse is saying that's a 2-minute non-releasable. If he's had other fouls, that's a 3 minutes would be acceptable. I'm going to tell you this is the consideration that JJ wants us to look at as officials. All right, did he hit the head or neck? Yes. Did he make any play on the ball or any lacrosse movement? No. Did he come from a distance? Yes. All right. So the 3 factors all apply here and for targeting. He lined him up and he nailed him. I'm agreeing with Tom. I think and JJ would say the same thing here. That's a 3-minute. Let's eject that kid. There's no place for this in high school lacrosse. All right, now we're on to
You say that's the ejection. So what's the 3 minutes? There's no need for the 3 minutes then, right?
Oh yeah, because the team's got to play down for 3 minutes.
Oh, that's okay.
They're playing a man down for 3 minutes.
Okay.
No matter what happens. All right, defenseless player. Blindside with or without possession. Head down on a loose ball. Must be 2 or 3 minute penalty. Locked in. You cannot bring this down to 1 minute if you use the word to the head. Again, as soon as you, as Tom said earlier, if you make the signal to the head, then guess what? You've told the coach, I'm coming with 2 or 3, and it ain't going to be releasable. So be careful using the word to the head. All right. Now, I am going to tell you, this is one thing that you got to be careful of, is it's an illegal body check on the face-off if they go straight for body. All right. If someone runs up behind them with a takeout hit and they have no clue it's coming, that's when it's a defenseless player. Tom, did I make that clear enough? Because that's the one that I've seen messed up and we've had to fix it before.
Yeah, and this is one, it's not necessarily a total judgment, but the judgment is coming on the side of the player getting hit, because I've had it before to where the guy catches a pass, takes 2 steps, and he kind of the guy catching the ball kind of cringes up, which means he had a chance to protect himself or step to the side or what. But if he just turns and he gets blindsided, like he had no chance to protect himself, then you're definitely doing a defenseless player.
And another place you can watch out for this is when the shooter is jumping up and they just wail him. And so, airborne player cannot defend himself by rule. All right, here we go. Here's a video.
Finally cleared out by Oberg. Finds a teammate down towards the offensive zone and scooped up by Feldhage, but then taken away by the Panthers. A host of 4 Panthers getting there to him. Big stiff. Finally cleared.
And let me just tell you, on that video, I'm going to show it again. We probably have the benches clear on that one. If that happens at a high school game, hey, you better be ready for your fight mentality. How to keep them off the field. Do everything you can to break it up, because it's going to happen. Watch. It's the sub. He's coming straight from the substitution box. This is one of the reasons why that JJ has embraced what Tom taught us down here, is if you're when you're in a 3-man system and you're the trail, your priority when you're in that transition is the substitution box. Making sure there's no illegal subs, and you got to get this hit.
And in all honesty, this is all 3 of us should be throwing flags. In this situation, John's talking about bench clearing. I'm John. I'm going to say it's not our job to do anything we can to split them up. It's our job to keep it from getting to that spot. If it gets to that point, guy on the field needs to be, or closest to the action, needs to be blowing his whistle, making sure, hey, we're not getting anything. Guy closest to the bench side or the box side turns, freezes the bench. If he sees any players come off, needs to write those numbers down. And the reason why I'm saying this, John, is if we get in there and try to break these kids up, there's going to be a lawsuit happening one way or the other. Either we're going to get hit by a cross, a helmet, or something, or a kid's going to get hit. Because honestly, if a kid starts coming after me with a stick, I'm going to take the stick out of his hand and hit him with it.
Well,
So,
and let me clarify what I was saying. That's when we activate our fight procedure. We try to keep the benches where they're at. As Tom said, we try to keep the benches where they're at, and we try to keep all the other players away that we can. And lots of whistles. But if you have a bench clearing scenario in this one, leading trails taking the benches, C's got the action. Now remember, it's lacrosse, so just because they come onto the field does not mean they get an automatic ejection. They got to be coming toward the fight. Okay? We ran into that issue before. All right? They have free substitution. So if they come in the sub and they don't go anywhere near the fight, we can't eject them. But if they come in and they go toward the fight, yep, you're gone. That's why.
also mention,
and remember, coaches can come onto field to stop it. We don't get in the middle of it.
I know this is getting into something else besides the fouls for the subject tonight. So if players do come towards the fight, is there any penalty towards the coach?
No. The coach is not involved in this. All the flags would be on the players on the field.
and there's something, I mean, err with caution. Like if a kid's coming out and trying to grab his own players, I mean, don't penalize him for trying to be the good guy, but kind of listen who's saying what. But also the other thing, and I've been involved on a field where, hey, don't meet as a crew until everyone is off the field, because two officials could be talking. I had one where I was the lead. I had a fight behind and sent the kids to the box, and the single side come over and started talking to me. And then another fight that one of the kids that I just sent off started right above crease. So let them get off the field and then meet up and talk about what we had.
And this is the same principle as soccer, is lacrosse. Hey, the critical area for issues with fighting, bench clearing, brawls happens in the substitution box, in front of the substitution box, and the two benches. If you have big hits in those areas, you got to be ready to move. Because that's where the biggest issues are. That's the critical area. All right, let's take one more look at this. Watch, he's coming from the substitution box. Well, I say we're going to take one more look at this. Let's see if it'll play.
Yeah, when he's coming in, look at where his stick is at. Is he making a play on the ball? Is he making a play, a lacrosse move, or is he just coming to hit the kid? And you can see, once you start seeing it happen, you can kind of tell the intent of the player.
Down towards the offensive zone and scooped up.
Can y'all see it?
No.
No.
All right, it's not going to let me replay it on here. All right, targeting. A player shall not initiate targeting that is intentionally takes aim at the head, neck of an opponent for the purpose of making violent contact. This could include spearing. These are usually angry fouls, retaliation fouls. Can almost always be predicted, not prevented, based on the tone and temperature of the game. Basically, these are the ones you feel, we need to tighten up. Well, you got that feeling a little too late. And you got to deal with it. To use a JJ-ism, know who your troublemakers are and read them. All right. Targeting must be 3 minutes non-releasable. Should be discussed as a crew to decide if that is an ejectable foul.
What section of the manual is targeting?
Rule 5.
I'm in 5. I thought I was following you.
I'm not saying these slides are exactly the order of the rule. It may be a little different order.
Okay.
You should be able to look at the back and the index and see.
Yeah, because I moved them around to get the similar ones together. All right, this is a target, what they define as targeting. He came from a distance, hit him behind. The player was defenseless, and he took him out. Watch one more time. And let me just tell you, this is how I look at it. If U.S. lacrosse says 3 minutes and ejection, it probably should be 5 minutes if that was a legal thing, and they should be gone. Because U.S. lacrosse has to cover the college world, the high school world, and the youth world. But it's saying this is a 3 minute and an ejection no matter what division you're playing in. All right, the most common foul we got, slash. All right, swinging across an opponent, cross or body with deliberate, vicious, or reckless abandon, regardless of whether the opponent's cross or body is struck. The tomahawk swing. If you see someone rearing up, hey, that's a good sign for you to rear your flag up because it's probably going to be a slash. But wait for it to happen to throw it, but you just get your hand there ready to go. Striking an opponent in the head, back, or leg in an attempt to get the ball. Oh, go back. I missed one. Striking an opponent in any part. The other common slash you're going to get is when they're trying to wrap that stick around the body in order to get to the cross. That's an important one for us to get. If they don't hit stick, it's important for us to get that one. Those are the ones that get mama and daddies to send pictures to JJ, and it has pictures of the cross whelped into their body. And I think I have that picture of one that someone sent. All right, so they got him. This was a great slashing one because they got him twice. He hit him once on the side, and then he hit him, wrapped him around. So, let's see here. Who have I not called on?
John, play it again.
That's the problem with YouTube videos. I cannot play it again.
You can't play it again, John?
No, it freezes. Let me try doing this. End show. Let's see if I can do it this way. All right, now let's see if I can make it bigger. Oh.
All right. And since this situation happened here, if he's got 2 flags, what do we do when we have 2 flags at the high school level?
You come together?
I mean, what happens to the play?
It's killed.
Unless.
The scoring play is imminent.
Correct. Good job, Chip.
And we're going to, there'll be a clinic next week on Zoom by Mike McGowan on penalty enforcement that will talk about that exact play.
Yeah, so if this kid, when he drives up, if he turns back and takes his scoring opportunity away, we kill it, we assess the penalties. But since he's making a move towards the cage and he gets a shot off, we're holding it until a save is made or the ball stops.
There's the first one. There's the second one. All right, we got one more slash video. Now, what they said, was that a bad one? Did anybody think that that's one that we need to lock them in and send them to the house? If
Play it
so,
again.
speak your mind. The slash was back here. So the slash was in the back. It's not bad. This is a 1 minute slash, but this slash is the one that if you don't call early in the game, will cause multiple more slashes to get worse and worse later in the game. Go ahead and get that early. Tripping. Obstruction below the waist with positive primary action. Doesn't have to be intentional, and most of these are not. Usually happens after a missed check and follow through. Also happens when feet get tangled.
Is there a difference between a loose ball trip and trip with possession?
Anybody want to answer that one?
To this day, I still have officials make a mistake. A trip's a trip.
A trip's a trip. It's a personal foul.
So with possession, without possession, he trips him. It's a minute regardless.
That's one of them ones, if you see it on a loose ball and you don't want to call it that way, don't say the word trip. Use loose ball push. All right, here's a video of it.
Congratulations. We thank everyone who participated. Participated.
See, he got him below the waist. All right, unnecessary roughness. Excessively violent holding and pushing infractions. Defensive player violently contacts with screening opponent. Avoidable, deliberately violent contact. Punching blows. Unnecessary. Don't make it more complicated than it is. It was preventable. They did not have to do it, but they did it anyways. All right, I'm going to let you watch that. Watch in front of the crease.
Yeah, he's done.
All right. I have not heard from, let's see, who, Rick. Are you there, Rick? Rick Tate or Tom? There you go, Rick.
Rick, I'm in.
What do you got on that play right there?
I've got the unnecessary roughness, 2 minutes.
You got 2 or 3?
If it was to the head and neck, I got probably 3, but you know, I can't see it on this phone perfectly, but
all right.
I'll back Tater up, seeing that he's on looking on a phone. You know, he's a little bit older. He might not be able to see on his phone, as he's saying.
Well, and here's what I would say, but here's an additional consideration here. What did he do afterwards? He stood over the player who was on the ground and fled.
Yeah, he taunted. Yeah, flexed his arms.
Yep. So we're going to
eject. I might be ejecting you for that.
Yep. He's going to get the unnecessary roughness for 2 minutes. Then you can give him the unsporting, taunting. You choose, make your choice, 2 or 3 minutes.
That's definitely where you come together with the other officials and make sure we're all on the same page.
Well, and that's where and I agree with you, Rick, 100%, because that's where officials need to make the decision. You know that it's taunting and he needs to be ejected for it. The hit, I think 2 minutes is appropriate. Maybe if you said 3, I wouldn't argue with you, but 2 minutes is appropriate minimum. But the taunting is, again, an unsporting behavior, which we're fixing to get to. So you're going to have unnecessary roughness, 2 minutes. And then you're going to have now, again, that's one of those magic words. If you say taunting, it's 3 minutes and an automatic ejection. You say unsporting behavior, you can give him 3 minutes and lock it in and foul him out and be done with it. If he gets ejected, he's sitting a game. And
yeah, that's extremely important while we get together, and one official could be more jacked up about the situation and the other sort of can bring it back down a little bit and just talk it through smoothly.
Now, and if that happened in a game where we were already having to throw lots of fouls and it was getting rough, I think you make the point with the ejection.
And with me, this is where you would definitely, everyone's doing a great job of saying meeting together. And to me, it's definitely a 2-minute hit, but then the unsportsmanlike, I might even escalate it to 3 minute because he just proved what he came to do.
Yep. Well, and like I said, when you go by the rule, you're going to have 2 fouls on that one play. You're going to have the unnecessary and the unsporting. So at a minimum, he's getting 4 minutes. All right. This is another one of unnecessary roughness.
In this clip, White is on offense, and there's a pick set.
We got nothing.
Goal.
Say what?
Nothing was going.
Nothing.
Oh, let me try it again.
In this clip, White is on offense.
All right, it ain't going to go, so we're going to keep going. All right. Illegal conduct. No player or substitution, non-playing member of a squad, coach, or anyone officially connected with the team shall enter into an argument with an official as to any decision. Use threatening, profane, or obscene language or gestures. Bait or call undue attention to oneself. For those of you who do basketball or football down here, when that coach takes both hands and waves you off, I call it the Errol Daniels conduct. Hey, they gonna get a conduct foul. All right. Hey, we've had a coach who used to be real bad about it, but he broke himself from it. Deliberately use his hands to play the ball or grab an opponent's cross with the open hand or fingers on a face-off. All right. The items above are 1 to 3 minute non-releasable penalties in a case. All right. Remember the latter in a conduct. All right. Take the possession away, 30-second conduct, 1 minute unsporting conduct. Then you got the ejection. All right. Releasable unsporting conducts include throwing a cross at the ball, a player or game personnel, a coach who is on the field and instructs play, repeatedly committing the same technical foul or persistent infringement. Fighting is another example. Automatic ejection, 3 minute penalty for the in-home. I don't know where it's going there. Tom, do you know where it's going?
Which one?
The 3 minute. Why does it say in-home? The coaches fighting?
I mean, it could be something, one, if you don't know like who started it, but also if the coaches are doing something, basically, yelling at each other across the box or whatever else, and basically trying to fight each other, you could do it as the in-home. But yeah, that one's very vague.
All right, coach's behavior, use the ladder. Now, I have to bring this up. We don't have this problem down in Fayetteville as much, but it was a hot topic among the clinic leaders up in the Triangle. Coach's behavior. We also include assistant coaches. Assistant coaches for the state of North Carolina, they have no rights. They are there to assist the head coach. They are not there to assist you in officiating or critique you in officiating. An assistant coach should not speak to you unless it's something of, where's the ball going to start back? Can you tell me what the penalty is so we can set up our defense? That's acceptable behavior from an assistant coach. If an assistant coach says, Chris, I think your partner missed that, you kindly tell them we will hear one voice tonight, and that will be the head coach. All right? Use the ladder. All right? Do not ignore the head coach. Answer questions. Again, your favorite statement if you're in Fayetteville. Coaches love it. All right? Coach, what's your question? If they don't give you a question, you don't answer it. We don't answer statements. Coach, that's not a question. All right? Coach, it's over. But here's the thing. Be honest. They know when you're just giving them a lump of crap. All right? And if you're using headsets, hey, coach, I'll get you to answer back through. My partner just heard it. He'll tell me the answer, and I'll get you back through, okay? Player behavior. You set the tone for this earlier. Hey, in your captain's meeting, make sure you address this. Remind them of zero tolerance for profanity. All right? What you allow will continue. What you stop will stop. Trash talking. Look, white talk to white, green talk to green. Racial slurs. Hey, that's a zero tolerance. 3 minutes, you're ejected. All right? Comments to the officials. Hey, we all have our threshold. But look, if you don't have walkies, if you warn a player because he's talking smack to you or talking smack to an opponent, tell your partners, because what we don't need to happen is that same player to get 3 warnings. And don't say it won't happen, because it does. There's a player who has remarkably improved since his freshman year. But he got 3 warnings from every referee on the field for multiple nights. And then he got the flag thrown. He should have been sitting on the bench.
Yeah, guys, make sure coaches, players, make sure you meet up, especially after that first quarter. If you keep telling a defenseman, to control a stick or to get off the arm, or if you're having to keep talking to the assistants or the head coach, don't keep giving them free passes. Because if, like John said, if all 3 of us go through and tell the same player the same thing, he's getting 6, 7, 8, 9 warnings before something happens. And next thing you know, it's going to be one of those ejectable type offenses where if we called on something earlier, now we don't have that problem.
I like what this slide says. Captains can help diffuse the situation. Know your captain's number. We talked about this last week. Who is your best person to communicate with on the field and the easiest person? It's your face-off guy. Hey, if you're having problems, tell that face-off guy, hey, man, help me with number 20. He's running his mouth, and I'm fixing that to flag it. I don't want to do that to you, man. They'll take care of a lot of them and yell at them right then. Hey, shut your mouth. They'll take care of it. Captains and face-off men. They're your best friends. Hey, and if it's a long pole problem, tell the goalie. The goalie will take care of the long poles. Other personal fouls, gloves. Remember, the gloves have to cover everything. Down here, and I suggest you do this in anywhere, but down here, I think we do a great job with this. When you do your 5-yard meeting to start the game, look, go ahead and just look. Do they look, it's a point of emphasis now. Look, 1 strip of eye black. Look at it. Hey, referees talking, you and your field judge walk down. Make sure there's 1 strip, no jewelry. Make sure that there's a butt end on the stick and you can take a quick glance at their gloves. Not saying we're going to catch everything, but we have done our part to do everything we can to prevent illegal equipment. All right? Gloves must be covered. Note, mouthpiece violation is a technical foul. We'll cover that in a few moments. Illegal behavior, grabbing the ball or an opponent's cross in a face-off. All right, penalty enforcement we're gonna do next week on Monday. All right. So here, how to prevent personal fouls. Pre-game communication with captains and players. It's okay to ask questions. It's not okay to yell and scream. In-game communication with players. It's okay to explain to players what they did wrong so they don't do it again. Do not give a clinic, and do not do it when the ball is live. If it's a dead ball and you're near them, just tell them. Most times they'll come ask you. If they want to know, they'll come ask you. All right, these are the hot points. After goals, around the crease, stoppage of play, player movement, substitutions, and after a big hit. This is where it's important for you to feel the momentum shift. Big, long, loose ball scrums. Hey, I'm going to use a term that we started using a lot in COVID, but I think it still applies. Nothing good is going to come over a 2 or 3 minute scrum for a loose ball where there's 10 people in there swatting sticks, pushing. Hey, call it. Whoever's furthest from the goal. If you don't know, I mean, I hate to say it, don't do this 100%. Do not take me as literal, but call the foul. There's a loose ball push, call it. Look, you see one, call it. Something you might would let go if, hey, that ball's been on the ground and there's a bunch of bodies there, call it. Clear that mess up, because the longer there's more body around, the more attention is going to be drawn, and the more likely that we're going to have an issue come out of it. All right, you make the call. Tom Jones, are you calling anything on that?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, fantastic. Could you play it again, please?
I will try my best. Here we go. Nope. This is a different one. Hold on, let me see if I can get back to the right one. Here it is.
No, it looks like he slipped.
The slip was not a foul. I agree with you there. But what were they doing while he was on the ground? Did they hit him while he was on the ground?
I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
Well,
John, it's small to see. There's a couple different things you can look at.
But from what I saw, he slipped, and then of course they congregated around him, and I don't know if anything occurred after that.
Gotcha.
After the slip.
It's hard to see the slip. There's nothing wrong with the slip. If they're checking the stick, they're good to go. They cannot make any contact with the body or the head, cross only, or the glove hand around the cross. The second thing you got to look at, the one that we're looking at right here, the one with his back to us, he's straddling over the guy. So you might have a slash. You also could have a loose ball hold because the guy's not allowing him to get up.
And what US Lacrosse is trying to get people to see is there's a guy on the ground. They hit him with the stick, and they're wanting that a slash.
Okay, so the situation like that, even though he slipped, the other player, the defensive player standing over top of him, I want to make a call to clean it up.
Yeah, what they're trying to say is if the guy's on the ground, you can't hit his body.
Got you.
That's
Okay.
the slip is not what they're trying to get you to look at. What they're trying to say is, look, when you have a person on the ground, make sure that they are not getting hit with a cross while they're on the ground. Now they can hit, the opponent can hit their actual cross, but you cannot hit the body.
Got it.
So him slipping, that's at his disadvantage. What they don't want to do is now he's in an unsafe position to where, you know, these guys are trying to, you know, dislodge the ball as he's trying to get up. So if they're hitting the stick, you have nothing. But if that ball's loose on the ground, I still, just to get him up, is go ahead and call a loose ball hold and get him up and give it back to White. Because if you look at, I guess it's 23 here or what, if you notice, the other guy's legs are right between his legs, so he's holding him. I mean, he's standing over him, not allowing him to get up, which is creating an advantage for him.
So the question I have, guys, of course, you probably can tell I'm new. The cross, that's where the ball is in the cross, right?
Yeah, the stick.
Right. The ball is in there. So if he's on the ground and the ball is in there, they cannot attempt to try to get that.
No, they can hit stick. Like anytime that you have a stick check and it's a legal stick check, you're fine. And I don't know where someone got it, but it still happens at least once a year. I see if the guy's on the ground, whether the ball's loose or not, he can still make a play on the ball. So if the ball's in his stick, they're allowed to check his stick. But what you have to watch out for is, hey, if this guy's just chopping wood and he's hitting anything and everything, then that's where we need to look and call in a slash, you know, and it could be a locked in, because more often than not, this kid's going to at least once get him in the helmet.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, this one's yours.
John, I tell you, it's hard to see anything on this with being so small.
Yeah, I'm trying to, based on what it starts beginning, is helping us out by showing a circle where to really pay attention, and that's why I was really looking.
I'll try to play it one more time, but
can you exit out and make it bigger?
I can't make it any bigger. I tried doing that yesterday.
Well, I made it bigger on my phone. Hopefully I'll be able to see it if it's not blurred.
All right, it's not going to let me replay it. So that previous one was a legal body check.
Can
Chris,
it happen right in front of the net?
Watch this player in the back.
Here, hold on, pause. Keep it paused. It's hard to see on the other one just because it was so small, but honestly, even from my angle, if the defenseman is just kind of driving through as the guy's squaring up to shoot on the cage, I didn't really see a lot of illegal body checks in it.
No, they said it was legal.
Legal?
Yes, legal.
Okay.
It was a good hit.
All right.
All right, here you go, Chris. This is yours.
You stop. Okay.
What you got, Chris?
It is a foul. Let me
Yep.
see. Let me see here. Let me make sure I got the right foul here.
I'll also tell you, I'll give you a help. That's the goalie.
Oh, that was the goalie?
Yep.
That made the hit?
Yep. I'm going to take it and pause this right here. Let's see if I can find it. Look at that. Look where the circle is and look where the player is fixing to get hit. How many yards are between them?
At least almost 10.
All right, so what do we know we got? Has he lined him up?
Yes. He's not making a play.
He just wants to knock the bazoozle out of him. So, what is it? You got a defenseless player, or you got the best one in this situation is what?
I'm thinking the
He lined him up. He put a what on him?
I'm thinking the goalkeeper is gone.
He's gone. It's targeting. It's a 3-minute locked in, and he is ejected.
Okay.
What he's asking is, you have an illegal what as far as the hit's concerned. So what are we saying that is?
A legal body check.
There you go.
There you go.
I knew he was gone, but I guess just making labeling it so I know what to tell the coach.
And you can easily label that as targeting. He came from over 5 yards away.
The only thing I caution about targeting is usually targeting is used for the head or neck. That wasn't a targeting for head or neck. It was more of he was just he was lining him up, which is make it more of the illegal body check. Targeting a lot is used for the head or neck.
All right, let's see whose turn is it now. Darren, this one's yours, Darren. Darren, what do you got on that one?
So there looks like it started with the trip.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. It's just a plain old trip. Good job. All right.
So I'll go ahead and give the new guys a quick cheat sheet, especially with a pole. If that pole is straight up and down and looking to come down, you'll probably end up with something. If that head of the cross is down on the ground, you're probably going to end up with something. If that cross is, basically from waist to chest, usually that check's going to be legal. But if it comes up high and he's looking to come down, it's probably going to be something bad. If it's down on the ground and he's trying to come up, it's probably going to be something bad as well.
All right, Tom, this one's yours.
Oh, Lordy. That's a defenseless player, had no chance. His head was still turned around the other way. As far as ejecting, I don't know about that because he did kind of hold up. He did start a ways away, but if you look at his action, he was kind of slowing down and kind of stuttering, stepping, kind of waiting for the kid, but it still was a defenseless player.
Yep. What would you have gone?
I'd still probably would have gone 2 locked in.
Yep. That's what I had to. All right, last one. And I'll take this one. All right, I'm giving that one a legal body check for 1 minute because he hit him after the shot was off and he had time to avoid it. All right, we are supposed to go over technical fouls tonight.
All right, well, hold on, John. You got to ask, does anyone disagree or does everyone agree with John?
I said you're asking. I'm wondering if Tom disagrees.
Well, you asked everyone else too. Are you able to play that one again?
That's what I'm trying to do.
So for me, looking at that, look at the guy coming to hit's body language. Is he coming to hit with both hands, or is he kind of also leading with the shoulder and kind of following through with the elbow?
Yeah, I can't replay it.
All right. Oh, you lucked out then.
US Lacrosse agrees with my analysis. but he hit the shooter late.
Yeah, definitely a foul. Now you
What do
said
you got?
locked in or releasable?
Releasable.
And that might be something, as we said, looking at his body language, I might even go 1 minute locked in, or I might go 2 releasable. Because the guy kind of, in what I saw, he led more with the shoulder, kind of followed through with the elbow, and his action kind of walking away. He wasn't trying to make a play on the ball.
All right. So, as you can see, a lot of these fouls, especially when it comes to timing and penalty enforcement, it's a very judgmental thing. Next week we're going to do technical fouls where the judgment is in the foul, not in the penalty. And so we will do technical fouls and that will take place on February 19th. Our next meeting will be in the classroom on February 4th from 8 to noon at Cape Fear High School. And like I said, I'll be texting everybody from the Fayetteville area and to check and see if you're going. And then hopefully we'll see everybody from the Fayetteville area there. If you're coming from Triangle, you're welcome to come. It's a good chance to actually get to see some plays and in a learning environment. Make sure you filled out the attendance form if you have not, so that I can give you credit, especially if you are not from SSOA, because I might not know who to call to give you credit. So make sure you filled out the form. We'll stay on for about another minute, and then I got to get over to the girls' call. Hope y'all have a good night. You're free to go.